I'm going to show you the Uber requirements and Lyft requirements to drive in Portland, Oregon. I have to say this right in the beginning of this video. I've done a lot of these videos talking about different city and state requirements. This may be the most unique set of requirements for any area I've ever seen. So let's get right into it. First off, let's talk about the vehicle requirements for Portland, Oregon. When it comes to Uber, it's weird. They don't talk about the driver requirements, but the biggest thing, as it's kind of like a standard across the board, you need to be 21 years or older, have a valid driver's license, have a clean record when it comes to a criminal background check, and of course, a driving background check. In terms of your vehicle requirements, first off, starts off very standard. 10-year-old vehicle or newer, any with a 4-door independently opening doors, good condition with no cosmetic damage, no rebuilt or salvage titles. It has to pass a vehicle inspection, and you must have a valid Portland business license. So I'm going to go up here now, and you can see that the Portland business license is one of the driver requirements in Portland, Oregon. The application process is completely free for account creation. There may be applicable taxes payable to the city of Portland for earnings while utilizing the business license that you obtain. So that, I think, really depends upon the driver, how much you drive. There's a lot of different factors to this, but according to this, it seems like it's completely free to do, right? If I go to the website here, I have to fill kind of this kind of stuff out, go through this whole process. Uber does give you a step-by-step guide you can see here in terms of what you need to do, right? In terms of what you need to select, in terms of basically being a rideshare driver. And then you can see here that once you do so, you need to view and print your certificate of compliance and upload a picture of it to your driver account. Once that is all completed, of course, you need a registration and insurance, pretty straightforward. Here's what's really interesting though as well, in addition to that. I thought that was just it, being like, oh, it's interesting, having to do having to gain a Portland business license, very unique compared to most other cities where you can just kind of sign up and drive. However, down here, you do need these items for your vehicle. I'm not gonna lie, I think this is actually kind of a good idea that Portland is enforcing this. As you can see here, you need a hands-free phone mount. Local regulations require the use of a hands-free phone mount. I am still in shock, let's say here in LA, when I take a Lyft or Uber, and I see someone with their phone doing this kind of like head bob motion, and I'm like, what are you doing? It costs maybe like $10 or $15 online. I've even seen some phone mounts at the dollar store that work fine, and of course, they're $1. So you should have a phone mount anyway. You need a first aid kit. Local regulations require you to have a first aid kit. You need a fire extinguisher. Local regulations require you to have a fire extinguisher in your vehicle. You need to print out a physical copy of your insurance. You need a Portland business license, which I just went over, and you need a permit. The city of Portland requires every TNC driver to display their valid physical TNC for hire permit to riders at all times while operating on the Uber platform. This, of course, applies to Lyft. So speaking of Lyft, let's go to Lyft as well. We're gonna go here. Let's start off with the driver requirements. This is what's kind of annoying, I'm not gonna lie, when it comes to Lyft versus Uber. I've mentioned this in a bunch of other videos. A lot of the requirements are pretty much the same when it comes to Lyft or Uber, but there's one big difference you might notice right away. You need to be 25 or older to drive for Lyft. I think that's kind of unfortunate. I've mentioned this before. If, let's say, you're in college, let's say you just turned 21 and you just want to drive to make some side cash, you can drive for Uber, but you cannot drive for Lyft. They do ask for 1 or more year of consecutive driving history. You need a valid driver's license. Of course, you need a smartphone. You are gonna have to pass a driver screening, very comparable to Uber, that reviews both your driving history and it's gonna do a criminal background check. And then in addition, no more than 1 minor violation on your DMV check within the last 12 months. You are gonna need all this in terms of the documents. You need a photo, vehicle registration, insurance, and inspection. In case you didn't know, your car needs to be inspected once a year, both for Uber and Lyft. The good thing though, is you only need to do 1 inspection. So let's say you go to an inspection site for Lyft, you can take that inspection form and submit it for Uber and vice versa. So you really only need to get your car inspected once per year for either Uber or Lyft, doesn't matter. You can use that same form for both. Then, of course, you need your business license in terms of the Portland business license, and then you need your for-hire driver permit. Now going up to the vehicle requirements, 2013 or newer, at least at the exact time of this video, 4 doors, 5 to 8 seats, including the drivers, not a taxi, stretch limousine, or non-express drive rental vehicle, not titled as salvage, non-repairable, rebuilt, or any other equivalent classification. In addition, like I mentioned with Uber, you are required to keep a fire extinguisher, first aid kit, and phone mount in the vehicle. Now, I gotta be honest, that is a good amount of stuff, for a lack of a better word, you have to do in order to drive in Portland, Oregon, or Oregon in general. And you may be wondering, is it actually worth it or not? Well, first off, being honest, a lot of the requirements you kind of have to have anyway. You need to get your car registered. When it comes to insurance, you need to get insurance, et cetera, et cetera. Although I do suggest if you are planning on driving, get rideshare insurance as well. Overall, though, when it comes to Uber and Lyft, I do suggest going through the entire sign-up process. And a big thing too is sign up with both apps. On some random weekends, Uber might be paying more. On other weekends, Lyft might be paying more. There might be bonuses and incentives. A big pro tip I have for a lot of drivers is drive for both apps, because that's the best way to get the best of both worlds. In addition, as you saw from the requirements, being honest, the only big difference between Uber and Lyft is with Lyft, you do have to be 25 or older. Uber, you have to be 21. Uber, you have to be 21 years or older. And when it comes to the different things you have to do, I'm not gonna lie, it is kind of annoying to sign up. But remember, once you go through that entire sign up process, you're pretty much good to go forever. And a big thing I suggest to a lot of drivers is always test it out. You never know. I mean, it is very possible that, like, say you go through this process, you start driving, and you're like, you know what? I'm just not making the money I thought I was gonna be making. It's not worth it. However, I know a lot of drivers who started driving, start doing it part-time, just kind of test out the water, so to speak, and then they realize, wow, this is actually pretty awesome. I'm gonna do this more. This is a great way to put money aside, save up for a vacation, you know, whatever the case is.